Welcome to Digza Podcast, where we explore how technology shapes modern industries. Join us as we discuss the latest in technology with industry experts, offering tips, career advice that will enhance your daily life and business. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or simply curious about the tech industry, you found the perfect podcast. I'm your host, Samuel Achato Bashir, the founder and CEO of Digza and a seasoned senior software engineer. If you are new here, do well to subscribe and be part of this exciting journey. Welcome to another episode of the Digza podcast. On this episode, we'll be having Nuhu Ibrahim as our guest. Nuhu Ibrahim is a very experienced software engineer. He's currently a tech lead in a company called British Group in the UK. Nuhu Ibrahim has had his own share of experience working for companies locally, that's in Nigeria, and internationally in the UK. He studied artificial intelligence and text mining in a British university. He worked for Kaduna State government as a PA to the governor of Kaduna State in 2020. Nuhu has a wealth of experience to share, and I believe you'll learn a lot from him. So stay tuned.
Hi, Nuhu Ibrahim. Nice to have you on our podcast. Thanks for honoring our invitation.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here, Samaila. You can't tell how happy I am. You can see me all smiles. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super happy to be here. I've been seeing a lot of good work you've been doing, especially
Yeah.
regarding podcasts and similar. So the community you've been creating, I think it's unbelievable. I think we need a lot of that. We need to do more about that, especially in our society back home. Really going to go a long way. You
Sure.
can tell a lot of other countries where things are going well, they started really small like this. So yeah, kudos for that.
Thanks. So I would like to start by having you introduce yourself. Maybe you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to this particular stage in your career. Yeah.
I always find questions asking me to introduce myself tricky. I wonder where to start from. I make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah, so my name is Nuhu Ibrahim. I'm Nigerian, born and bred in Kaduna State, northern part of Nigeria. Currently, I'm a software engineer. I'm currently with BT Groups. BT Group, it's like a sort of global technology communication company. It's UK based, but so we probably do a lot of things. Currently, I'm a backend engineer with them. Prior to that, a lot of things come from studying computer science, where I met Samaila for the first time. I've actually known Samaila probably for decades now, since probably 2010 or 2011.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then we were in Kaduna Polytechnic. We were trying to get a diploma in computer science. So I would say that is where my journey in computer science actually kickstarted. From there, learned a lot of things. We had unbelievable lecturers then that were able to put us on the right path, and lucky for us as well, things fall into place and we realized we are actually in the right place. We are studying the right course, and there is just, we can go anywhere with this. The sky is just probably our limit or even our starting point. So from there, graduated with a diploma in computer science, and eventually, immediately afterwards, just I think a few weeks after, I got an opportunity to work for a year in the bank, where I supported, I think, it was GT Bank. I supported their customer service, what's it called, the department for customer service. And one thing I always tell people, one of the most important thing I've learned in the bank is that I don't want to work in the bank. So it's the most important thing I learned there. Of course, I learned a lot more things. I learned like leadership skills. I learned to work with a huge group of people, because in a single branch group, you have over 20 people working together towards the same aim. I learned to work in a formal group. My communication skills got better because we're in the customer service and we have to talk to loads and loads of people in a day. I probably talk to hundreds of people in different languages, say Hausa, Yoruba, English, Pidgin, anything, just to make sure we deliver to these customers. So a lot of things I've learned from working in the bank, but I will say the most important one is that I don't want to end up my life working in a corporate setting like that. So not only in the bank, but I realized, okay, I shouldn't end up in the bank. I shouldn't end up maybe working in an airport or in a corporate setting or anywhere. You see what I mean? So I want to
Yeah.
do something. I'm not saying working in the bank is not as important, but for me, I want to do something where I will have more room to be impactful.
Yeah.
So I learned that in the few months I worked in the bank. I was supposed to be there for a year and then eventually had to leave after 9 months because I got opportunity to go back to the university to study bachelor's in computer science. Took that opportunity in 2015, went to Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to study computer science. And I think I had one of the best times ever
Yeah.
in a learning environment in ABU. The people there were unbelievable. The lecturers were amazing. The tutoring, everything, the environment, it was just the best for me. And it was a combination of a lot of things together that just make you a stronger person and a better person overall. It's not like it
Yeah.
is a like perfect environment. Maybe the hostels are perfect or the classrooms have big, amazing lighting, air conditioning. No, I mean, the teaching were not as easy, but at the same time, you have a lot of friends, a lot of connections you've made to like come together to do better in a community set of in a community way. So
Yeah.
I will go back to my mates now that I finish ABU with, and I will tell them, look, it wasn't easy going through this university, but I feel it is the best thing that has happened to my life. And what happened in ABU is actually been one of those bumping stage that has been pushing me even till today. So from ABU, graduated with a bachelor's in computer science, and lucky enough, for some amazing things that happened afterwards, like finishing with really good grades. I was opportune to get a lot of great opportunities afterwards. Like for instance, I was thinking today, I was having a shower and I was like, okay, I'm going to go on a podcast with Samaila, and I was thinking about how we started off. And one thing that came to my mind was that one of the most important, so or would I say, one of those first really nice opportunities to work in a tech company came from Samaila. So Samaila recommended me to work at Lexington Technologies. It's a tech company in Kaduna State where Samaila had been working with them for months. Samaila was unbelievable. They're amazing guy, and they just felt, no, we don't want to go out there to hire someone ourselves. Samaila, bring us someone like you. And yeah, lucky for me, Samaila thought I am like him. Maybe he must have changed your mind right now. But yeah, so lucky for me, Samaila thought I was like him, and yeah, I was introduced to come there. That was immediately after I finished uni. I had really amazing working experience with those guys and learned a lot. One important thing I learned from Lexington, chairman, he was our CEO then, I learned that everything is possible. You could get everything done if you want to. So if you think, oh, I
Sure.
have this solution in my head, I want to implement it, I think the government won't be ready to work with me. I think I don't have money. I think I don't have the tech to build it. No, it is possible. Just go out there and start doing it. You can always leverage on connections. If you don't have money, if you have the brain to get the solution done, you can always get people who have the money. If you don't have the tech, you can always link up with people who have the tech. If you don't have the business skills, you can always link up with people who have business skills. So from there, I learned that everything was possible. And afterwards, until today, for instance, if I have anything I want to do, I may feel like, okay, perhaps I won't be able to do it now or in the next year or in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, but I dare not feel like I won't be able to do it at all. So everything is possible. So
Yeah.
afterwards, got opportunity to work in government as well. Oh, I hope I'm not like dragging the whole introduce yourself too long. But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
perhaps, yeah, I feel like it would be interesting to go all the
Yeah,
way and then,
yeah,
give a good introduction until where I am right now, you know. So
yeah.
after Lexington, got opportunity to work in government. I was with Malam Nasir Rufai at the government house, where at the government house, it's like really, really amazing opportunity I had there. Most people go there and work in the same office for probably 3 years or even more. I was there, and in a space of a year and a half before I left, I was given this opportunity to work with so many amazing people who you stay with them for just an hour and you are feeling like, oh my God, I've learned a lot. I've picked a lot of wisdom from these guys. So I went
Mm-hmm.
from Hafiz Bayero's office. Really amazing guy, one of the best humans I've met in my life. Really smart, really, really hardworking. I always so he was then the MD Kaduna Markets. I was sent to him to work with him as a technical assistant. I was with him for 6 months. Um, I feel Hafiz was so good that I unknowingly started copying his mannerisms. So there were ways he used to talk, there were ways he used to like use his hands, there were ways he would walk, and I just found myself admiring him so much that I would just be walking and feel like, oh, I think I'm walking like Hafiz right now. Yeah, that was how amazing he was. So if you know Kaduna very well, the guys that went on to repair the markets, build new markets in Kasur Bachi, build new markets in Sabongari, in Zaria. He was eventually promoted and he was like the mayor of the Kaduna Central. So that was Hafiz. After I worked with Hafiz, then Hafiz was out of the government house like an agency. So worked with him, did a lot of tech and non-tech stuff, build their website, some of solutions, tried to do some things as fast as I could because I knew I don't really have a lot of time there because the governor was like, okay, no, I want you to work with as many people as possible here so you can learn a lot. So I was with Hafiz, I think, for 6 months, and then I was like picked up and I was taken to the government house, and there I worked with Jimmy Lawal. Jimmy Lawal then was like senior advisor counselor. Anyone outside Kaduna probably doesn't know Jimmy Lawal, but anyone that knows deep Kaduna State government under Malam Nasiru knows Jimmy Lawal. He was like one of the strongest NG room within the government. Most of everything economical in Kaduna State went through our office. So from there, I would say with Jimmy Lawal, the most important thing that happened to me was I could boast that I read at least 80% of the documents that the governor put his hands on. So they make photocopies and bring it to Mr. Jimmy, who was my boss. And because I was like a special assistant, the letters come to me. So, and then I just keep consuming this information. So I didn't really work directly with Malam Nasiru in his office. Like his office was just probably 15 steps away from me, you know. But I was able to read every letter that came to him or that left his office. Maybe let's say over 80%. So from there, even if someone did not hold your hand to say, oh, this is how I do things, if you can just watch them and see how they do things, how they move, the kind of moves they do, it's just like chess game. You're directly or indirectly just consuming the way they do things, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow it just becomes part of you. So from there, I went on to work with, I left Mr. Jimmy after like, I think 6 months. And then I went on to work with Kaduna, what's it called again? KSIMMB. It used to be KSIMMB, and then we worked and then changed the name to Kaduna Enterprise Development Agency. So in Kaduna State, the agency that is supposed to be in charge of building small businesses, helping them to grow, helping them to start new businesses, and all those things. I worked with them for like 4 months, and we're part of the first set of guys to go there, try to do some revamp, try to change things around and sort of things. So I was with them until I left for the UK for my master's. Came to the UK, studied artificial intelligence. So it's more or less master's in advanced computer science with specialization in artificial intelligence. So that lasted for a year. And in artificial intelligence in the uni, I sort of focus more on application of machine learning, and then also things around text mining and natural language processing. Yeah, studying at the University of Manchester was amazing, right? Because one of the best universities in the country, probably top three or top four. Then I'm not sure, probably thereabouts. So it's an amazing university, and it was great experience meeting really amazing professors that I still talk to today. Even last night, I was still chatting and talking with some of my professors, some of my mates I went to uni with. Amazing guys. We still play football till today. So the connection was really awesome. Then from there, got a tech job to work as a backend software engineer with Fiserv. And only last January, I moved to British Telecommunication Groups, that's BT Groups, and now I'm with BT working as a software engineer. I didn't really delve too much into my tech work here in the UK because I know Samaila would have a lot of questions for me around that. So yeah,
Yeah,
um,
sure.
it probably took me 15 minutes to say things about myself. So I hope I didn't end up boring you out with so much information. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to hear. I mean, how your journey took off from being student from Kaduna Polytechnic to the university to working for the government and now settling in the UK and working for a very pretty good UK-based organization. What I'm curious to know is like what really inspired you to go into tech to become a software engineer? And when you made the decision to become a software engineer, did you really envision yourself to be uh, somewhere close to where you are today, or you just pursued the path because you felt this is just what I love and let's see where it gets us to?
Yeah, so this is a really good question.
Yeah.
Um, I think there is one really good saying in Nigerian pidgin that will fit well into how I found myself here. It's just vibes
Mhm.
and inshallah. You know me, Samai. So I found like I swear to you, bro, like I was in secondary school and I
Yeah.
was really good in mathematics. Like
Mhm.
we had this amazing teacher, Mr. Oladejo. Like he was
Yeah.
like really good that he would train us to go for mathematics competition. If you remember, there used to be this famous cowbell mathematics competition when we were
Yeah.
younger. So I used to go for those competitions. My thing was math. I would, people would say, "Oh, we want to go do this or that." I would spend my day just solving math problems because I just love it. I enjoy it. And I wanted to go to the uni to study mathematics. So unlike these days where you have a lot of influencers around telling you what to do with your life or older
Yeah.
ones, I wasn't opportune to have that. So it used to be, oh, if you're good in biology, you should be a doctor. If you're good in mathematics, go and study mathematics. Maybe you will be lucky after studying mathematics, you can bridge it into physics and stuff and become a
Yeah.
scientist and stuff. So I just wanted to do mathematics. I applied mathematics into the university. The best thing that happened to my life was that I wasn't offered admission. I had really good grades, but somehow God was like, no, you're not meant to be here. And I was supposed to go to University of Ilorin. I did everything. Everything was perfect. I just don't have the admission. That was the only thing that didn't work out. And just randomly for Kaduna Polytechnic, for JAM, you would usually say, okay, my university is the first choice. Second choice
Yeah.
is Polytechnic. So I just chose mathematics because that was what I really loved. And then for Polytechnic, that was Kaduna Polytechnic. I just somehow I can't I sit down most times to try to remember why I chose computer science. Perhaps it was because it is kind of close to mathematics. And in the
Mhm.
Polytechnic, they don't really study mathematics per se. You remember they only do statistics. So
Yeah.
I think I was just thinking, okay, what is that thing that is closest to mathematics? And then I chose computer science, and that was where the journey started. But coming to Kaduna Polytechnic, you remember, they would dump a lot of computing stuff to us, do digital electronics, do Visual Basic, and this Q Basic,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
Java and stuff. And then I just realized how easy it was for me to understand these things, how easy it was for me to like solve these problems, and how much I feel like how I used to enjoy solving mathematics problem. You know how you would be solving some really difficult analytical math questions, and you would just
Yeah.
find yourself consumed in it overnight. And it was just as enjoyable as seeing one of the best movies you've ever seen. That was how I was into mathematics. And coming to Kaduna Polytechnic, they give us a lot of computing problems, especially programming. I just found myself loving it so much. It was just like mathematics to me. And it was so easy for me. So I will tell you one of the things that used to make me feel like, oh, I think I should be here. I will see how little effort I put into learning these things, and then how good I am doing in them, and then watch how much effort other people put into doing these things, and how difficult it is for them. And then it just makes me feel, oh, I think I should be here. This is my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much. And you remember then they would make us do our projects ourselves, and I will see
Yeah.
how people struggle to do these things. And I will just find it, oh, I love doing this thing. And I just put myself out there to help a lot of people, like in classes when they had in the Polytechnic, when we have tests or exams, we would organize tutorials. It just make you feel like this is amazing. This is something I'm good at. I want to continue doing this. You would write software programs, and you remember, Samaila, when we were younger, I was just like 17, and I
Yeah.
would go home from my bedroom. Just it wasn't easy though, it was difficult. You remember those
Yeah.
desktop applications I used to write in
Yeah.
Java,
Sure.
Java
Sure.
SE? And by myself in my bedroom, I will write some program that I will go show it to my mom. She's a nurse. She was like a matron. And I will say, okay, mom, how do you do things at your hospital? She will tell me, okay, they take this file, they create appointment for people and this and that. And I will make a program, go show her. I think this will be useful for you. And I will show her the way the thing works. And she'll be like, oh, I think we could use this. Although they don't go on to use it because it's not like a huge hospital, but
Yeah.
building things that people who have been in the, like, experienced people who have been working for years accept that, yes, this is useful. It just it just energizes me. Do you understand? Like, it just makes me feel like
Yeah.
this is what I should be doing. I definitely should be doing this. And that was why when I went to the bank, worked for like 8 months or 9 months, I had the head of our department, Madam Tosin, we call her Madam Tosin. She loved me so
Yeah.
much. And she called me one day and said, Nuhu, I know you want to go back to the university, but I think you really belong here. I think we normally don't do this for people. We don't do this, but I want to keep you to work for me as a technical, they call it transaction officer. So people who have HND used to become transaction officer, right? And then people who have ND used to come as IT. She called me and she was like, I'm not promising you that this will definitely happen, but I'm telling you, I will do anything I can to promote you to a technical officer. So it will look like you are an HND, a HND holder, and you can continue to work here, study at the university, open university close by here, and you have a really amazing job that everyone wants. But I would remember how good, like, the feeling was when I was in Polytechnic. And I looked at her without thinking twice, bro. It wasn't like, oh, I will go home and think about it. I looked at her and I was like, Madam Tosin, I don't think I want to do that. I just want to go back to school. You know, it's, I
Yeah.
would, do you remember 2015, bro? 2014, 2015. If you can earn up to 80, 100K in Nigeria, you are a really, really big boy. I used to
Yeah.
earn 50,
Sure. Sure.
I think was it 40K I used to earn um as IT star, IT, and I was a big boy. So the salary bump, the whole thing, the whole vibe that comes from working from in the bank, I just looked at her straight up and I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. I want to go back to the university. It's a feeling like I miss how I used to feel when I was there in Kaduna Polytechnic, and I can't wait to go back. And I remember that decision. I tell everyone about that decision, and I feel like it's probably one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So seeing myself here, I think I will say it's more or less um on the minute kind of thinking. I think it was probably the best decisions I've made. And
Mm-hmm.
going back to the university, as I've said before, it was unbelievable experience. I learned a lot, and it's just a bump until now. So I was going to summarize everything, how I found myself here. I think Samaila would testify that I'm not that person who can really see so much into the future. Like, unlike Samaila, I'm unable to say, oh, I have the vision to do this, or I have the mission to go on to do that. But I always, in a very short period, in few seconds, I can always tell what the next step should be. So I may not be able to tell you in the next 3 years I want to do this, or in the next 2 years I want to do that, but I can always tell at a particular point in time, I think I should start doing this, or I think I should move on to go on to do that. And in addition to that, it's just hard work, putting in the work to be able to get to what you want. It's really not easy. It's usually not easy. The competition is really high usually.
Yeah.
So you have to put in a lot of work. You have to put in a lot of work, and like it's always been like that from every step. It's always been, putting in so much work, and yeah, we've just been lucky to get here. And yeah,
So
also just to answer your last question,
yeah.
I've never envisioned myself to be here, to be honest. I don't. Although I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that I'm here, but I didn't really see myself here. Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
now I feel like, yes, I've worked really hard to deserve this, and I'm not surprised. But then I didn't really sit down to say, oh, I think in the next 3, 4, 5 years, I should be in this sole position.
Nice. So, in the tech industry, the field you are specializing, like, it's a very, very competitive field, like you said earlier. Like, there are a lot of things to learn coming up consistently, like frequently, basically. How do you keep up with the latest trends and like the versatile knowledge that's out there, like a lot of things that you need to know to stand out in your field? How do you keep up to date with all these things?
Ooh, yeah, really good question, honestly. So, I feel like we tech people, as much as we can, we need to try to balance ourselves in the middle. So we should not try to be this one person that knows so little about everything, because that is who you become if you just follow the trend. If you just every day you are just really excited about any new thing that is coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So will become that because you don't really have a lot of time. You work, you have to study, you have to probably do some side work, you have your business, and then you want to follow the tech trend. So you don't have a
Yeah.
lot of time. So if you say you want to learn every single thing that is out there, you will become that one guy that knows so little about everything, but not so much.
Mm.
At the same time, as a tech person, because this is a field that is like evolving every second on the second. Things are changing. You don't want to
Yeah.
be that guy who's left it in a decade ago, who's just you remember then Samala, we used to do jQuery, we used to do like those really old things. You don't want to be the guy who in 2024 cannot let go of the things he learned in
Mm-hmm.
2014. So I think the important thing for me is balance. I try as much as possible to know as much as I need to do my job to like very amazing stage. Like it's more or less okay. Right now, the kind of technologies we use, like at my place of work, they are like the state of art current technology for backend. We work for a global company that wants to be really optimal. They want to do everything right. So that means that's a good opportunity for you to learn most of the world-class technologies, right? Because
Yeah.
these companies really want you to learn them. They give you everything you need to be able to learn them, right? And that's the opportunity. So I take this opportunity, I use this opportunity really well and push myself anyhow I can to make sure whenever there is any need to learn something new, whenever there's any need to do anything new, I want to be one of those people that will be called upon to do it.
Mm.
So it's just positioning yourself such that you are motivated to learn new things because
Yeah.
we work really hard. It will be difficult. So as I am now, it won't be very easy for me to just pick up and start saying, oh, I'm a backend engineer. There's this new thing that's out there. I don't need it at my job. We don't use it, but I want to learn it. It's not going to be easy because we have a lot of responsibilities. But what we
Yeah.
can do is at work, everyone is busy. You want to position yourself as that guy who we call it spikes, as that guy who will be invited to do some research on spike ideas. So anyone can come up with idea. They can say, "Oh, we think people are now doing these things better. We need to do like a proof of concept. We need to do some research to see if we should start doing them." You want to be that guy who would be called upon to say, "Oh, Mr. A, can you please do like a desk research on this and see if it will be useful to us?" That is one of the best ways to learn in this fast-paced generation, especially when you are already in the industry and you have a lot of responsibilities. Perhaps you are a
Yeah.
tech lead or you are a software manager or something. You want to, put yourself in a position for people to say, okay, can you please help us do research on that or on this? And also, you want to as well, one thing I do is stay, so I subscribe to a lot of tech news and tech,
Mm-hmm.
what's it called? Like blogs. So sometimes not, you don't even have to read all the entirety of short writings. You can just read the heading, read the intros. People write a lot of amazing things out there. So you want to at least, in short intervals, make sure you read new things so that you can keep up to date with what is going on. So you don't only be the guy who is invited to say, okay, go and make a research on this. You're also the guy who shows up to work at least once in a month to say, oh, I think we normally use MongoDB, but I've been reading online. I found, oh, perhaps if we would use something else, people are
Mm-hmm.
now doing something else that is better. Some people will say, oh, everybody uses Kafka and stuff, but oh, we are unable to, trace Kafka properly. When things fail in Kafka, we can't find why and stuff. Oh, you can say, oh, I was reading a blog last night and someone was discussing about the same thing. The
Yeah.
person was suggesting maybe Netflix Conductor. And then you want to say, oh, can we do a spike research on Netflix Conductor? Say, yes, yes, I want to be the guy who does this. And then you go do the research. So it's like you are pushing to get the motivation to go learn new things. And as well, instead of you to have to do it outside work hours, you are doing it and getting paid for it. So
Yeah.
in my primary field, that is mostly how I, get these experiences. It's like putting myself in a position where people can ask me to do things that are even beyond what they think I can do. I just want them to have the feeling that no can get anything done. So when
Yeah.
difficult things come up, okay, no, can you go try? And then I learn a lot from it. Then, as you know, I'm a software engineer now. I have so much interest in like artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing. So that is entirely outside my job profile, right? So I can't go to work now and say, oh, can you pay me on the hour to learn natural language processing? It's not part of our requirements. It's not what we do. We have a
Yeah.
totally different team that does that. So then you have to find a new way to be able to keep yourself updated in that area as well. For me personally, what I do, I keep communication with people I know that are working full time in these areas. And one of the best people you can keep in contact with were your teachers in the uni, your professors and stuff. So you want to keep in contact with them, personally, I keep so much contact that I still get invited to work on projects, volunteering projects, or even paid projects where you do research and you get paid on contract basis. So by doing that, it's I know there are people who are able to motivate themselves to learn these things just like that, just
Yeah.
wake up. I have a colleague of mine who in my previous company was doing a lot of amazing things in blockchain. And he was able to motivate himself to do that just like that, you know. But it's not everyone that has that. So for me, what I do is just allow some time where I'm still able to volunteer to help people who are in the industry. So when they have new projects, they know I can be resourceful. So they call, oh, are you available to do this? You know, and then I join them. From there, I learn new things that are going on in the industry. Yeah.
Nice. Very, very interesting. Like, I was curious to know what inspired you to dive into text mining and natural language processing.
Yeah.
Can you share a little about what inspired you? Did you see any opportunities in it? Are you looking forward to going all in the future? Like, what are your aspirations about it?
Yeah. So I knew I didn't want, computer science in Nigeria was just like software engineering. It's always like software engineering. Let's not lie to ourselves. So when you study computer science in Nigeria, it's almost like you're doing software engineering. Most of the courses are just software engineering related. And if you go to a good uni in Nigeria and finish computer science, you can literally work as a software engineer anywhere. So graduating from ABU Zaria, I was like a well-trained software engineer. So going for masters, I knew, okay, I'm already well-trained in software engineering. There's no point, going abroad, spending thousands of pounds, of taxpayers' money because I was sponsored to go learn the same thing I was taught for over 4 years. Even from Kaduna Polytechnic, it was around software engineering. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt, okay, what is that thing I need to, what is the new thing that is going on that I think would be worth my time to go learn? And I thought artificial intelligence. But that's where the problem started. Artificial intelligence is so huge. There are like probably hundreds of smaller, professions under artificial intelligence. So I couldn't tell, okay, what do I do in artificial intelligence, right? So this is where the idea came from. We attended a lot of, before starting school, the lecturers, all the courses, they will do like small, short introductory lectures where they try to tell you what you will learn in this group. Like if you're going to do robotics or machine learning, theoretical machine learning, or
Mm-hmm.
applied machine learning, or text mining, or NLP, or whatever. They will just, each of the lecturer from the uni will show up and tell you this is what you can do in this area. I attended all of them and I still couldn't tell, okay, this is exactly what I want. I know I want to do something in AI, but I didn't know exactly what I want to do. And then I attended the text mining one. She told us the kind of research she has done. That's my current professor. So,
Yeah.
okay, these are the kind of research I've done and this and this. I listened to all our researches and I was like, okay, interesting. But I still did not decide I was going to do text mining. Then I was having a job with my brother in Kaduna. And it just came to me that, okay, how comes when I was working in the bank, a lot of times we just run into some accounts that we still have loads of money in these accounts and nobody has showed up to say, okay, this is my bank account. You
Wow.
you will go to the bank when they would find some account with some money and nobody has showed up to make withdrawal or do like a transaction on that account for probably decades. Yeah, it's like that in the
Wow.
bank. And I wondered what can we do to see that this doesn't happen? Because I mean, bro, there are a lot of people who have died sudden death, whose monies are in banks that their parents or their families don't know anything about it. And that money is just gone because nobody knew these guys have these bank accounts. And I thought, okay, now that I want to study AI is known to be this field where you can always provide solution to everything. What can I do to find solution to this problem that I've always thought about? And that was when the idea of text mining came in. I remembered my professor during that introductory class was talking about, oh, she will go through text to, find some patterns in text and this. And I just thought, okay, what if when people come to banks to open bank accounts, we can take all their social networking sites usernames, and then we would train a model that would in interval go to their social networking pages like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and stuff, and check if people say um, um, morning related things about them. So it's like automatic detection of deaths from social networking sites. That was the idea. So I was having a jog and then I just thought about it. It was a day after the text mining introductory class. And I thought, okay, what if when people go to banks, they can give their social media handles and then the bank in intervals use their model to check the posts related to these people. Whenever they see something that like people are talking like they are dead, then they can reach out to their next of kin. Because now people have next of kin, but banks don't reach out to them even if you don't do transactions for years. So I was like, okay. Then the next day I emailed my professor. So in the uni, usually every other person gets like here in the UK, they don't, unlike Nigeria, they don't say, oh, go and find a project topic. The professors are given the responsibility to find as many project topics as research topics as possible. So they just give you a list of maybe 100 and say, go and choose anyone. So that was what everyone does. So for me, I emailed my professor and I was like, oh, I'm not interested in picking any of these research topics you've suggested. I think I want to work on this particular one. The question, then I was like, okay, can we have a call tomorrow? We had a call, and the first question I asked her was, is this possible? She was like, yes, of course it is possible, but I don't think you can do it within the space you have for your master's because it's like something that some people would even do for like a PhD or something. And I was like, oh, is there a way we can make it smaller? I just want to do this. And she was, okay, yeah, let's see what we can do. You can start whatever you can, and then towards the end, we can cut it short and say, okay, this is what you have done because it's interesting work. Yeah, and that was how because to do that, because it's a lot of work getting it done, I had to read a lot, I had to learn new things, and that was how I got into text mining. And I ended up being able to complete the model. The model did really well, and I had a paper publication with it. So
Yeah, like
until today.
this,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off. Like this project idea, like really sounds super interesting to me. But while you were talking, the question I kept asking myself was, if you were to use social media platforms to detect what is being said about some particular group of people, maybe if they died or something, uh, do you have access? How do you gain access to those social platforms to be able to mind what is happening in those platforms?
Good question. So aside from Facebook, all the other social networking sites, they have APIs. And I'm telling you this because just 2 months ago, I was working on another project where we sort of we sort of like try to find people saying hate-related things about other people in Ethiopia. And I was like the technical person in charge of building models to find hate speech, using APIs to crawl social media posts from Twitter, Telegram, and Facebook. So, but Facebook is the most difficult one. It's almost impossible for you to get data from Facebook, but people still get it, but it's almost impossible. But legally, every other social networking site has API. It may be expensive to get, that is it, but you can always consume their API and search through anyone's profile, so long the profile is public. So on Twitter, there used to be academic. When I did my project, I used Twitter primarily. So before Elon Musk took over, there was academic Twitter API. So if you have a university email address, you can apply for the free academic Twitter API. That API, when they give you the access, it allows you to read millions of tweets in a month. because you are doing research with it. So to train my model, I can tell you what I did. So there is something they call Wikipedia. There's Wikipedia is the most popular one, but there's another database of Wikipedia. So Wikipedia uses a database. There's a database behind Wikipedia. What is the name again? But that database, you can use Sparkle. Is the query language. It's a graph database. So you can use Sparkle as a query language to query Wikipedia. So instead of you going online to Wikipedia to search Wikipedia, there's a way you can use Sparkle. It's a query language, just the way we do SQL or whatever, to query the database behind Wikipedia. And Wikipedia holds one of the probably richest information currently. So you can see all the celebrities, who are celebrities, between when and when were they alive, are they dead, where did they die, and all those things. So I wrote the query that went to Wikipedia, get me celebrities, right? That dead celebrities and whose social media were online. So tell me, give me celebrities. What is their social media handle? When did they die particularly? So I have that information. I took, I think, hundreds of accounts, and then I did two things. I picked tweets things people say about these people some months before they die, like years before they die. I picked a lot of tweets years before they die. And then I picked tweets the day they die and 5 days after. So then I labeled my tweets and say, okay, the ones I picked the day they died and 5 days after are the tweets that could tell that someone is dead. Just randomly. These tweets can tell that someone is dead. And then the things people say about them before they die are the tweets that signify that they are alive, right? And then I trained my machine learning model, both deep learning models and traditional machine learning models, to recognize the differences between the tweets I picked before these guys died and the tweets I picked after they died. And I was able to achieve over 95% accuracy. So that means my models were able, it is possible that, even after some people died, people don't know that they have died. So there could be some, false data, right, in the data I've picked. And some celebrities may be alive and people just randomly start lying that they are dead, right? So my data is not like 100% correct, but using that same data, I was able to train my model and it achieved 95% accuracy. And as well, I was even able to I selected like 10% of each one of these data points and recruited some of my friends to manually annotate without telling them if this tweet was said about someone before they died or after they died. And I told them, okay, tell me, can you tell which one was after and which one was before they died? And I achieved really good interannotator agreements, which show that, yes, you could use things people say about people on social media to tell whether they are alive or not. And if we can do that, this is just like one step forward towards achieving the solution for people to not lose their digital assets even after they die. So if someone can build on my model, I built this model myself. Just imagine if you can hire the best 10 machine learning engineers in the world to build on this model, make the best model, and reach out to these social networking sites, even Facebook, that don't usually give people APIs. Reach out to them. They know you are doing this for a good cause. Reach out to them, say, okay, can you give us API to read, especially for people that allow us to be able to? And then we can tell when people die. Then we can reach out to all the organizations where they have digital asset suites. And then we can make sure that when they die sudden deaths, their assets will just not go missing. So, yeah, that was the first thing I did in natural. And afterwards, I've gone on to do even like more interesting thing. But sorry, I built my model, but it is not a business. I haven't been able to push further to say, okay, we will go into the business world and start using the solution at banks or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like a great project, and I think maybe in the long run you could still look forward to going in
Yeah,
depth
good
with
for
it.
me. I have a paper in it. So if anyone ever goes on to do it, I can always say, oh yeah, I had the idea before.
And I think it would be nice if it's an open resource. We could link it up with this
Yeah, yeah,
podcast.
yeah. I
Anybody
will
who is
send you
interested
the
in.
link. It is a published paper with a conference in the United States. After my
Nice.
master's, I published it with a conference. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll link it up. Anybody who is interested in maybe learning about your model, they could read it up. I would love to even read it too. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So going back to what we've been talking about, like in software development, like in your own opinion, irrespective of whether someone is a beginner or an experienced software engineer with like over 5 to 10 years of experience, what do you think every software engineer should know as a best practice and something they should be good at that would help them to like express professionalism in their work?
Yeah. Good question, honestly. I think basics, fundamentals.
Mhm.
I would say that is the most important thing for a software engineer to know. You need to know the fundamentals of computing to be a good software engineer or to be a really successful software engineer. And these fundamentals goes on to, we talk about data structures and algorithms, irrespective of what you want to do in software engineering. You may choose to be a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, a network engineer. So long you are in this space, I think everyone should try to know the basic fundamentals of engineering. And in these fundamentals, it doesn't mean, like for me right now, it doesn't mean when you ask me anything about these things I will mention, I know them. But I've studied them sometime, probably 10 years ago. And it means they're somehow in my brain and they come to help me when I'm making decisions.
Mhm.
So things like data structures and algorithms, you need to be able to know the different structures of data. You need to be able to know the different algorithms other people have written, why they have written them, how they have optimized them, so that when you are writing yours, we write algorithms every other day. This is so that when you are writing yours, you can always think about how you could make it better. So when you study algorithms, you don't only go on to think, okay, my algorithm works fine. You should be able to also think, okay, it works fine now. Is there a way it could be broken? How could I make it better? Can I make it more efficient and stuff? Another thing I think everyone should be aware of is like analysis of algorithms. In the university, we get taught this a lot. So you should be able to analyze algorithms. You should be able to tell by just looking at algorithms in a dry way without
Yeah.
running it through data and using computing to like go through. You should be able to look at it with your eyes and say, okay, I think this algorithm, this is the complexity of this algorithm. I think this algorithm wouldn't do well. I think we could do better. I think we should do better. I think it is too complicated, both in space and time.
Yeah.
Although space is no longer a big issue because we have big computing, we have the cloud and stuff. People don't really care too much about space anymore. But as a good engineer, it's not like when you write code, you should always try to over optimize it to say, oh, it is the best code ever. It's just you knowing these things comes to inform every single decision you make. Another thing is as an engineer, you need to know the fundamentals of software engineering. And when we come to fundamentals of software engineering, um, the other ones I mentioned are more fundamentals of computing. So even if you are not
Yeah.
a software engineer, you need to know those things, right? But
Mhm.
this software engineering, you need to know the different methodologies of building solutions, right? You need to be able to know by wisdom, even though things should be done, you need to be able to know when you don't have to do them. Like, for instance, there are so many different methodologies to developing software. People can do agile, people can do waterfall, people can do anything they want to do, but it has to be done in such a way that it fits a purpose. So
Yeah.
for you to work as an engineer, you need to know these different methodologies so that when you are working, you will be able to tell that although I'm not doing this right, or I'm not doing it the way I think I should be doing it, but you can tell by fundamentals that, okay, perhaps it's because of these two reasons. So if I'm writing agile, I know that there is a possibility that I may ship bad code, but because I know the fundamentals of software engineering, I ship bad code, but I don't go home and beat myself too much about it because I know it is because I do agile. It is because I want to be able to push solutions to my clients as fast as possible. If I want to write the best code in the world and I have all the time, I will do waterfall. I will get the requirement, take all the time in the world to analyze it, and then go on to solutionize it, and then go on to develop it. But when I do agile, I don't have all the time in the world. I just want to repeatedly solutionize, develop, test, analyze, just keep doing it in a spiral until I have the best solution. And at the end of every sprint of agile, I want to be able to deliver something so that people will say, oh yeah, he's giving us something to work with. It's just different methodologies that everyone should know. I've worked with people, I have hired people that after joining a company, they will come on to tell, like recently, a very good, tell you the story, a very good staff, really amazing lady, she's unbelievable. We would have so much problem with her. Why? Because she think when we get tasks to do, right? We don't follow all the steps towards delivery. We don't spend time to say, we want to hire a UI UX person to give us the best UI. We want to write a solution document. We want to, all those steps that you should follow to write a solution that when you read like a book, they tell you to do all those things. We don't do them. We give our solution and they are good solution. Although she can now say, oh, I think if we had done this step, this mistake I can see here, we won't have them. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Or she's saying the right thing, right? We should have followed those steps. But if anyone who has took the time to study the proper fundamentals in solution delivery should as well be able to answer themselves. These guys, they are good engineers. Why are they not doing these things? There are reasons why we don't do them. It could be because we don't have all the time in the world. It could be because we don't have the resources to be able to do these things. Resources in terms of developers that are available to do them, or even in terms of what these clients are investing in the project. If you get a client that tells you, okay, I want this solution, and they are not paying as much, you don't want to invest all your resources to follow all the steps towards delivering the project, because then you won't be able to deliver the project. It's like reducing the budget of the work and delivering something usable. Not perfect, but usable. So knowing the fundamentals help you to find the balance around things, and learning the fundamentals of software engineering teaches you how to document things properly, how to do trade-offs, very important trade-offs. I was taught this, I think it was in 300 level, and we were doing, what was the name of this course again? It was analysis of programming languages, something like that. In this course, all we do is study different programming languages or different methodologies of engineering and tell, using a story, what should people have done? Which programming language should they have used? Which steps should they have used? What methodology of engineering should they have used? It's not like when you give your answer and I give my answer, there is a wrong answer. It's just that, okay, how do I defend the kind of answers I'm giving? So we are taught to think like lead engineers. So these are the fundamentals I think people should learn. And if you have this good fundamental, you can join any company. All you have to do is to keep your learning attitude at the top. So no matter how good you are, no matter how many years you've spent in the industry, when you join new companies, you always need to learn some new things. There is always some technologies they are not using. But when you have these good fundamentals backing you up, you can always show up in this thing. In a month or two, you are already a baller. You're already doing it. And people will respect you for it because you can always get into anything.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a superb response. So just a quick one. What's your take about the future of AI, and where do you see it taking us to?
AI is scary, bro. I'll tell you this. When I was doing my master's and they would teach us machine learning, I did more application of machine learning than theoretical machine learning. So I could
Mhm,
write the code to train models, to do whatever you think, right? But I didn't really study more theory. I understand the theory. I can draw you, okay, this is how deep learning works and stuff. But I can't go on to spend hours in my back in with my computer coding the back end. I don't know if you understand what the differences
mhm,
are. So there are a lot of packages you could use to apply machine learning to data. And then there are people who study how to write those packages. So I was more of a person that apply machine learning to data. I could code the application of machine learning, and then I understand the fundamentals of it so that when I'm coding it, I understand why I'm doing this, why I'm doing this entropy, why I'm having more step to my deep learning model or whatever. And then I would sit down and think, this is unbelievable. This is crazy. How comes I could just train a model? I know what this model is. It's just a loop, right? A loop of, okay, this is incorrect, then I'll exchange this and this. I'll train a model, and then this model would go on to even predict things better than I could,
mm,
you know? And these are
yeah.
like basic machine learning models. And I was fascinated about how amazing these things are. And today, I go to read and I come across so many amazing models out there. I come across things like ChatGPT. I come across things like Google Bard. And I'm just fascinated. And it's really, really scary. It's so scary because we've advanced so much that anyone, like with your little smartness and your basics in computing and stuff, you could
Yeah.
go on to train any model that could go on to do anything. I told you just a year into my master's of learning the basics at the university, I was able to train a model that could tell when people die or if they are alive based on what people are saying about them. It's a model that understands the language of grief. And then now
Mm,
we last year we found out, oh, people have trained a model that you could adapt to just do anything you want to do. Just give it prompts. If you tell it, oh, write me this code, it will write it. Okay, these are my symptoms. It will tell you how unhealthy you are or how healthy you are. And I'm
yeah.
telling you this, bro, when computers, so you will know how scary this is. When we discovered computers, until today, not everyone could sit down in their bedroom and produce a computer. So producers of computers are huge companies. So I'm telling you
Yeah.
why it is scary. So Intel, Apple, Microsoft, these guys produce computers. You don't see someone wake up, just say, okay, I have every component in place to produce a computer. We just learn the fundamentals of producing computers. Somebody study computer engineering and they know what can be done to produce a computer, but they can't just go back into their backyard and produce the computer. It's almost
Yeah.
impossible. They could
Yeah.
couple it, probably buy all the parts from abroad and couple it. But I tell you this, bro, which is the scary part. You can train any model you want. If you want today, you can take some courses and whatever, and somehow you will be able to train a model that could mimic ChatGPT or could even do better by yourself. Why? Because it is just a model. It is not mechanical work. It's not like you need this part, you need this thing from Taiwan, you need this lead from uh, um, um, Congo. Do you understand? It's not like mechanical, it's pure just software. So you have your
Yeah.
computer system that is really huge and has good computing power. You can train anything. So people, the one of the difficulties we had before was, okay, people don't have the computing power to train these things because training models require like huge computing power. A single
Mhm.
model you are training, if I use my 16 GB M2 MacBook or whatever, take hours to train. And then huge companies like AWS, Google, GPC, and the rest of them. They just come up and show up and tell you, okay, come and use our cloud. You can train your AI on our cloud, and we have unlimited resources. And
So
they are giving you these resources to just train anything. So you can't produce a computer at home, but you can build any model at home. And then if you say, okay, these computers are expensive, they say, okay, you are a student, come and build it for free. While you are a student, you can just use any computing resources you want for free. So I tell you why it is scary. People will go on to build the most ridiculous things you can think about, brother. And
yeah.
they have everything they need to build it. All the resources are online. MIT today, if you get admission to study at MIT, most things you would learn at MIT, you can learn it from online because they make all the resources open to everyone.
So the AI industry has no regulations. That's what we're
Yeah.
saying today.
Yeah. And it's scary because people will build things. And I'll tell you one more thing that I find scary. To build an AI, you need data. All the
Yeah.
data you can get. And bro, right now, people can get all the data they need. So they found out, which perhaps you may be aware, ChatGPT has been taken to court and stuff. They are under litigation because people found out that the model was trained on premium data. So basically, you know, all this Daily Mail newspaper where you have to pay before you have access to it. ChatGPT was trained on a lot of similar data like that
Without
people
paying.
were meant to pay for before they could use copyrighted things. So, and it was trained on it. If they were still the old company, OpenAI, that was, you know, non-profit, people wouldn't complain because they were not making money. But people are complaining. Companies like Daily Mail are now complaining because it is now owned by Microsoft, and they could sue Microsoft to make some money because they are making money themselves, so they have money to pay for damages. So how did they do this? They basically just start off from anywhere on the internet. Write an algorithm, give it a web address. It could look through all the web addresses on the internet until you consume the whole internet. So you give it maybe google.com, it will randomly search anything on Google, go through every one of the link, consume all the HTML, get any link, go to that link as well. Keep doing it until it consumes everything, and then you use it to train your model. So people are already doing this. So there's limitless data out there for people to train models, which means people can train any ridiculous model you can think of. And at the same time, while people are training these models and doing what they want, at the same time, another arm of AI is also doing really well, which is the robotic arm of AI. So if I'm training a model and it is a ridiculous model, if people can train ChatGPT and we are thinking, oh, it is crazy, people are already making robots that could move and do everything that humans can do. So plug it in, give it, install the model that could, you know, fight because it has studied some videos of taekwondo, that could shoot guns because it has read things online. It could do, you get on this robot, and then you have things that like unbelievable. You can't just deal. And then at the same time, people like Elon are already trying to build AI that could fit into people's subconscious. So AIs that, you know, you could use to control your mental sense, teach yourself to do things even when you've never done them before. So you can install things on humans, like just install swimming on me and then I'll be able to swim. Because we figured out that the brain controls knowledge, right? It is the body-mind coordination that make us be able to do things. So it's not really our leg that can play football, it's our brain that can play football. Our brain can move in a particular way, move our legs in a particular way, run in a particular way, jump in a particular. Of course, fitness is required, but your brain controls the whole thing that makes you be able to do things like swim or whatever. So it means if somehow you could trigger your brain to think it knows something or to have all the knowledge required to do something and be able to pass all the information through your body, you can just wake up and be able to do something you don't know how to do before overnight, even though it's meant to require a year for you to do it.
Yeah.
So that's where we are going, and I think it is really scary. And I think it's difficult, but if we can, everyone should be open to know one or two things about AI.
Interesting. So to wrap up this podcast, what's your take-home advice to anyone who is interested in getting into the software industry, software development industry? I want to be a software engineer. I want to be a great software engineer. I want to be like Nuhu. What does it take? What's your advice to such people?
Yeah, it's so today, as of today, the advice would go to, different people. It depends on their circumstance. If you can afford to go to the university and you have, or you are in the university, or you have the qualification to be able to be in the university, that's one of the easiest ways to be a good software engineer. It's easy because you don't really need unbelievable motivation to do it. You just need to be there and do the right things, and then you find yourself where you want to be. So if you are the kind of person that can be in the university, you can study related courses to computing. So a lot of related courses like mathematics, physics, computer engineering, computer science, all of these sciences, they are related to computer science. And I want to like motivate everyone that think the if you can understand a little bit of mathematics, it is a good sign, it's a green flag that you can do anything in computer science, right? Because it is really, really similar. The people who discovered physics were mathematicians, the people who discovered computer science were physicists. So somehow we all drive back into mathematics, right? So that is if you're a university student, go to school, do everything right, study the fundamentals because they are just giving it to you on a platter, right? They come and teach you. Just learn it properly, learn it properly. And at the same time, try to, if you want to be a software engineer, I tell my younger brother, he always, Samaila, you're training Ali, right? So he always wants to, write a project that is out there and useful. I've been there, right? One thing I always tell him that, yes, I understand you want to write useful projects. That's what everyone wants to do so that it will motivate them to want to do better. But at the same time, try to learn your fundamentals. I told him, please learn how to code, learn how to write proper code to solve problems. You shouldn't be running to create a UI that does this, that when you click, it will help to manage a hospital. No, learn how to write proper code. There are a lot of websites online like Lead Code and the rest of them where these guys will teach you properly what all those things I was mentioning, like data structures and algorithms,
Yeah.
analysis of, they will teach you these things. They will give you problems starting from easy to difficult that will help you to understand what coding means. And that is one of the easiest ways to get into the best companies in the world. The best companies in the world won't require you to know PHP or to develop a software or something. They just want you to know the basics and know it properly. They want to be able to ask you questions, theoretical questions, and then you are able to answer them. So this goes
Yeah.
to people who can find themselves in the university, and for those who are not opportune or are already too old or are already graduates and were not lucky like me to ridiculously or luckily find themselves studying computer science, I tell you this: you can, no matter your age, no matter where you are, your location, or whatever, you can find your way into computing. I know we are discussing about software engineering right now, but I want to tell you, you can find yourself a way into any one of these disciplines in computer science. For software
Mhm.
engineering, there are a lot of resources online for people who are not opportune to go to uni. So a lot of resources I would share. There was this one free code camp that I would
Yeah.
share with a lot of people. I always share it because I know they have well structured steps for you to find yourself where you want to be. If you want to be a front-end engineer, yes, they won't start by teaching you the fundamentals I talked about, but they have structured steps that you will find yourself as a software engineer. And you may have started working even before you start going back to learn the fundamentals. Somehow you are not following the step the way everyone would have, a theoretical person like me would have wanted to follow. But yes, you find yourself where you want to be. So the only thing I would say to people who want to go on this journey by themselves is that it is not a particularly easy journey. So even to mates that went to uni to study computer science in some of the best universities in the world, and then become great computer scientists, they will tell you it's not easy.
Sure.
Because being a computer scientist goes beyond spending hours in class. You need to spend time by yourself, loads of times to learn some things that no one could have told you in a 2 hours classroom. So it means if they are putting in, the motivation of wanting to pass your course or having attendance for a course, graduating, having a bachelor's would motivate you to want to show up and learn these things. And that is why it is easier. They push you to want to do it. And then if you just put in a little bit more effort, like we did, you will then see that, oh, I've done it. So it's a lot easier when you go through the school route. But it is not like you can't do it without it, just that you would then have to self-motivate yourself. You don't have
Sure.
anyone to show up and say, oh, come to class. If you don't come to class, you won't have an attendance. So you have to wake up and tell yourself, I want to get this done. I want to learn these things. And one thing you need to do for someone who wants to do these things on their own is to find yourself a group of people who think like you, who wants to get these
Sure.
things done. So in our environment, for instance, in Kaduna, one good place I always think about that people go to and they come out better is places like Colab. Digza is there. Digza has an amazing community of people who are ready to help themselves. So join a community. If you want to, even for people who are in the uni, people like us, Samaila, we gained a lot from being part of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We learned from
Sure.
ourselves. There were a lot of times when you taught me things. Samaila, if you remember, after we finished national diploma, I came to you. Do you remember? I came to you and I was like, I
Sure.
want to learn
Sure.
web design. I could develop a desktop application with Java SE, but I want to learn how to develop a web app. And Samaila, do you remember, to make sure that I'll be motivated to learn, you said, Nuhu, I will charge you this and this,
Yes.
so you learn. And I paid it. And do you remember, I would come all the way from my home to your home. It was at least 8 kilometer difference. I will come, was it every Sunday? Do you remember? And then you
Yeah,
would teach
sure.
me at
Sure.
home and give me assignments. The
Sure.
whole thing is okay. And mind you, when Samaila was teaching me web design, I already can develop a full-blown desktop application. And I would leave my home 8 kilometers and go to someone else's home, pay them to learn these things.
Yeah.
It's not because I can't get the resources online. It's because, okay, the fact that a human being is teaching me, the fact that I am paying, the fact that if I don't show up, my friend will be disappointed. It's a
Sure.
motivation to do
Sure.
something. So it's not, I mean, Elon comes and say, oh, you don't have to go to the university to get anything done. I totally agree. But one thing I always tell my friends is don't fall for things like that. If you have a kid, put them through the uni. Why? Because Elon probably have all the resources in the world to motivate his kids to want to do things. What the university do, the thing the university is best at is not really teaching you the best things in the world, because all the resources you would learn in the university, you could get for free online. What the
Yeah.
university do is give you the motivation to learn it. You
Mm.
could be anything you want from your bedroom, but do you really have the motivation to put in the work? The university help you, they motivate you. They give you a test and fail you, then you feel bad. And then next time you want to do better. You write a course and then you fail, or you have a D, and then next time you want to do better. They release results and they grade you and say, oh, you now have 2-1. Then next time you want to have a first class, then you want to put in more work. You get all these little things, all these tests they put in the university system is what It's easy way to get people motivated to want to do things. You could do it yourself if you want and you have the motivation, but tell me how many people can actually motivate themselves to get things done? Not so many. We human beings, we struggle in terms of finding motivations for ourselves. So if you can't find yourself to the uni, you can do this yourself. But please find like-minded people. Find people who want to do the things you want to do. And if you are struggling to find these people, just go to any technology hub wherever you are. Show up maybe once in a week. I promise you, before 3 months, you will find someone who is also showing up because they want to meet other people that want to learn. And from there, you will make friends of like-minded people who want to motivate themselves to learn. Today, if I learn A and you don't know A, and I tell you I know A, you feel like, oh, I should know A because that guy, we started learning this together and he's already doing better than me. So our parents would tell us when we were younger that, oh, you shouldn't try to compete with other kids and stuff. But competition is good sometimes. It pushes you. Me and Samaila knows, like we show up and tell ourselves about new jobs. When Samaila got jobs, he tell me, no, I got a job in this company and they pay me this. When I get jobs, I say, oh, I'm changing my company. This is my new pay. Victor gets job, says, oh no, I'm changing my company. I got a new job and this is what they are paying me. It's not like we are trying to stimulate ourselves in a wrong way. We are trying to push ourselves to do better. So if I show up and tell Samaila, I got this job and they pay me this, it will remind Samaila that it is possible. Do you know why? Because Samaila knows me when I don't know Jack. And Samaila knows that if Nuhu, that barely knows anything in 2011 when we met, can go on to do this, damn well I can too. So building this network. If I know if Samaila can start a company and the company is successful, I can start mine. And I started mine. So this you want to be around people that will tell you they got things done so that you can believe you can do it as well. And as well, you don't want to be always the receiver of motivation. You also want to motivate people. You want to also go out of your way to get things done so that you can be a motivation to them because you don't want to be a pest. If you are a pest, then people don't show up to you anymore. Right? So that is how to get it done. There are lots of resources online, but I want to tell you before you go that it won't be easy, especially when you want to do it yourself. So a reminder, get people who want to do it with you. And as well, the most difficult part, get mentors. But one thing I want to say is you don't choose your mentors choose you. So don't be disappointed when you reach out to someone and they just don't respond to you or they don't give you the kind of attention you need. It's because they don't think you deserve their attention just yet. I've given my time to lots of people that go on to waste my time. And right now, you won't just email me and then I will rush to say, okay, let's schedule a 1 hour call tomorrow or whatever. But if you keep me updated with your progress, and after some time, usually 3 months, I see that you are still dedicated and pushing on, I will become interested in your plight. And then at some point, I'll become so invested because I'll be like, oh my God, this guy is getting it done. I'll become so invested that you would be able to wake me up on a random Sunday to say, no, I want to have a short 30-minute call with you, and I will schedule a call with you on a random Sunday without you telling me. So, put yourself in a position for people who are doing well in the industry to want to mentor you because you can't really force people to mentor you. So you have to just position yourself, market yourself to say, oh, sir, if you put your time in me, you won't regret it. In the next 10 years, you would be proud to tell people that, oh, I was one of the guys that helped this guy become who he is today. Yeah.
Nice. That's some wonderful advice. I believe that our viewers out there will really, really learn a lot from the wealth of experience you've shared. Once again, I'm super grateful for honoring the invitation to be part of this podcast. You didn't even have second thoughts about whether you should, come on board or not. You just took the invitation. We're really grateful to have you on Digza podcast. And I'm looking forward to having another interesting episode with you in the nearest future.
Awesome.
Thanks once again for being part of the Exam podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. Of course, people can see I'm all smiles and all excited. I'm really, really happy to be here and doing this. and I'll be more than excited to show up again anytime. Just let me know.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks. All right.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
cheers.
And that concludes the end of another episode of the Digza podcast. I hope you've learned a lot. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section, like the video, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next episode.